Hello there, Internet people. It's your good buddy, Roo. Here to say hello and goodbye, and basically, if it's possible, everything in between, to some new and some, well, two very special finished books from this past year. So I finally got off my ass, and I'm going to talk about comics, none of which I think came out within the past 2 weeks, so watch this at your own peril. First up, and a very easy way to start this is DC Vertigo's 4 new number ones. Here we go. We have Voodoo Child, Saucer Country, The Fairest, and New Dedwardians. With these 4 comics, to even suggest DC batted anywhere near 500 is being very generous. I really don't even think. Maybe we'll get to it. Okay, here we go. Voodoo Child. We'll start off with Voodoo Child. We'll start off with this because I could barely finish it. I basically had to force myself to get to the last page of this, only because I kind of spent money on it, even though it was like 79 cents or whatever. Shout out here quickly, DCBS. They have some great deals. If you don't want to pay full price for comics and it's okay, you're waiting a day or two after Wednesday to get them, try DCBS. I've also heard great things about mail order comics and some other things online. Moving on. Voodoo Child was awful. There was absolutely nothing in this comic, from story to art, that makes me that inspired me to even want to turn the page to see what's going to happen next. The tale itself was just boring, tired garbage, and it was so bad I can't even focus on anything that was wrong with it. So it's going to seem like I'm going to be petty and pick on the art here, but it's just the art was just lame. It gets to this point in here where there is a group of 4 college students in New Orleans hanging out, and all 4 of them, at one point in time, they're all together, and they are wearing t-shirts of either the school that they're at or the city they're in. See, okay, here we go. Well, spoilers from the second page, they're all dead. So we have people here with Tulane shirts on, New Orleans shirts on, or Tulane New Orleans shirts on. It's just everything, like, everybody's labeled. There's a police guy in here who, in one panel, only one of the entire time that he's shown, it says police on his little outfit here. See right here. Police. Now look at the rest of these 2 pages. Nowhere else do we see a shot of his vest where it says police on there. So again, this sounds petty. But again, it's the only thing that I was able to focus on. And I'm not. There's obvious skill involved in the art, at least. Dennis Cohen, D-E-N-Y-S. If that's pronounced Dennis, then somebody got named by a bunch of hipsters. Has obvious technical skill. It's just that it's lame what you put in here. Goodbye. Like I said, this whole thing's about hellos and goodbyes. Goodbye, Voodoo Child. You weren't worth anything. Saucer Country, goodbye. You are utter crap. A forgettable exercise in run-of-the-mill X-Files garbage. Written by Paul Cornell, who I'd come to expect better from. So whatever. The obvious, we have well, our third book now. The obvious cash grab that was Fairest. This actually wasn't too bad. Mainly because I like Fairest. I like the Cinderella from Fabletown stuff written by Chris Robinson, who I don't think his story's even going to be published anymore. He and DC Vertigo, or DC, recently had a falling out. And if you want to know what that's all about, Google it. It's all over the place. Or you could go to www.theouthousers.com. There's a lovely thread where I chime in and sound like a corporate shill for fun, I guess. We can kind of discuss this. But The Fairest, this one's written by Bill Willingham, the Fables guy. This is an obvious. This kind of read as if it was like from the throwaway pile of Fables ideas. But again, I had already decided I was going to trade weight this because I really do enjoy Fables. The only thing this issue did was kind of make it so I'm not going to buy it that week if it's a busy week and there's other things I want to spend money on. It kind of got moved to the wait for a slow week pile. But I will say this: Phil Jimenez, my God, this man can draw. And this seems like a very art-heavy week now that I'm talking about it. But this is just the women here, right here. that is just Greg Land. I'm looking at you. This is how you draw beautiful women without making them look like whores. These women, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in. They just look classy in this book. The characters here, they look, rather than like Greg Land's porno, Psylocke or whatever from Uncanny or whatever dealing with. Jimenez, he can draw anything that I'm reading, and I will consider it to be a blessing. But again, Fairest was I'll keep reading it, but that's mainly because I have high hope for anything with Fables on it. Issue 1 really didn't make it, so yay, look at me, I'm going to be hanging on every word this comic does. By far the highlight of the new bunch of DC books was the new Dedwardians by Dan Abnett of DNA fame, primarily, in my opinion, the Marvel Cosmic stuff that didn't suck. This actually was really cool. Tale of murder and mystery in a land of where everybody's already undead. What we can say, at least in my opinion, of this whole silly vampire zombie craze that started, we can say it started with Twilight if we want to. It has actually made people with talent bring zombies and vampires a new twist. I thoroughly enjoy New Dedwardians #1. I think it does new things with Society of Vampires, kind of like Daybreakers. Ooh, Daybreakers with Willem Dafoe and a whole bunch of other people that I thought was a phenomenal movie. I highly recommend that. I think that this is a less action-oriented version of that, and it's sound that it just seems like from issue 1 that I'm going to have a great time reading it. The only real thing I don't like about this is I found out the day that I got it, it's an 8-issue miniseries and not an ongoing. And I have a new rule that all miniseries are wait for trade, and I've broken that rule 3 times since I've made it, but with this one, it's a wait for trade that I'll definitely pre-order as soon as possible. It's not in a wait for a slow week pile. Also new this right now, making it to whatever. I'm a big fan of Ted McGeever's Mondo. This is a book I would throw and give to anybody if I had enough money who bitches and moans about a lack of non-superhero books out there. Mondo, written and drawn by Ted McGeever. It's beautifully drawn. This is why I don't understand people who can't stand black and white comics. I think if there's real talent involved, we have other... You can just see how really, really in-depth and beautiful black and white can be. For me, most comic books need the writing. The writing moves the story forward. I'm not, as much as this entire week's reviews might say otherwise, I'm not big into art. Mondo is the exact opposite. Rather than the words moving the story forward and the art being a background just kind of showing you where it's going, the art in this book is what's telling the story with dialogue and background noises kind of just being there to highlight it. The only reason Mondo is wait for trade is because I learned with Cowboy Ninja Viking, where the fuck is issue 13, that I have no way to store books that are Golden Age size. So I'm waiting for trade because I'll put it on shelf right here. I've already pre-ordered the first trade, issues 1 through 3. This was a $5 comic, and it was totally worth it. 3 other wait for trade books that I really liked were Thief of Thieves, which apparently is so far 2012's investor book of choice. Prophet, number 20 whatever, 21. This is a relaunch. I have absolutely no idea what the first 20 books were about, but this was freaking awesome. And Guillermo del Toro's The Strain, written by David Lapham. I thought this was #1. I thought this was just a really cool, again, another version of a vampire story that I'm waiting for trade on. I think this was a 12-issue mini. A really quick hello. Those are my new hello to the trade weights. Another quick hello is hello to my pull list, Marjorie Liu. I honestly thought that Astonishing X-Men #48 was maybe the best issue of Astonishing X-Men I've read since Joss Whedon's first story arc. This was phenomenal. Reintroducing North Star Seal Reeves, a very healthy respect for the past, and I want to know what happens next. This is something that I want Marvel to double ship this book. Marjorie Liu, who had a great interview with my boy Doombug, aka Eric Radcliffe, with his Wild of Comics podcast, available free at iTunes. She sat down and talked to him. Great interview, great podcast. I highly recommend it. But I'm not going to go and look for her previous stuff because I don't care about Batgirl and X-23. But for anybody who got kind of Warren Ellis's Astonishing run, for some reason Daniel Way gets a bunch of hate that I don't get. Issue 48 was a great jumping on point. This was seriously, the week it came out, my surprise book of the week. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Issue 50, North Star is getting married. Spoilers, and apparently everybody's mad because Archie did it first. Whatever, don't care. North Star's a great character. Marjorie Liu's a great writer. And Astonishing X-Men number 48 was a fantastic comic book that, even though I am an unabashed Mutant X freak, I think you should believe me on this one. Finally, my heartfelt goodbyes go to Northlanders and DMZ. I'm going to start off with Northlanders, even though it started and ended second. This was a consistently very good book that solidified Brian Wood, which started with DMZ. Brian Wood as a writer I will follow anywhere. It was not perfect. That there was a stupid magic storyline somewhere in the middle there, but the high points far outweigh the low points. Brian Wood left DC, I guess, for similar reasons as Chris Robinson, and I'm really glad Vertigo, DC, whatever, let him finish this book. If you haven't picked up Northlanders, the first trade, Sven the Returned or something like that, is a great starting point, but you don't need to keep going from there. Every story arc is basically stands alone. Pick and choose what you want to read. If you don't want to start with that one, the Plague Widow is fantastic. The Girl in the Ice is a two-issue run. You might be able to find still in back issue bins in a comic book shop. I would very rarely have I enjoyed an anthology book as much as I enjoyed Northlanders. I'm going to miss it. But again, kudos to DC, kudos to Vertigo for he quit almost 10 months ago with issue 40 or whatever. They let issue 50 come out. They kept it going. Fantastic and a fantastic book. But even more so, there's DMZ. This book introduced me to Brian Wood. This was the last book I would read any week it came out because it was the book I looked forward to the most. I put off issue 72 for, I think, a month. I just kept moving into the bottom of the pile, just because I didn't want to read it. I didn't want DMZ to end. This book did not end the way I wanted it to. It ended the way it needed to. I will wait with bated breath for DC to do oversized hardbacks, because I will gladly double dip for this. Why the Last Man, Fables, 100 Bullets, I'll have these oversized HCs you can get at bookstores, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get the DMZ ones. This was the perfect ending to one of my favorite books of all time. I'm glad I got in, sometimes you'll hear me talk about, I have Fables from issue 1 through floppy. I have every single issue of Hellblazer in a single issue. This is one of the books that I'm very proud of. I got into the ground floor. I love DMZ. This issue 72 reminded me why I'm not a writer, because I would have written more of what happened in Why the Last Man number 60, more of a redemption story, and that would have not been what DMZ needed. This was a fantastic ending to a great book, but Brian Wood's not gone. Again, I'm talking about me breaking Robot Limited series. He's writing fantastically on X-Men Alpha and Omega. He has a new creative work coming out with Dark Horse, and I soon get to be able to read the X-Men title again, because very soon he's taking over for that hack Victor Gischler. I'm going to follow, I don't care where he goes, I don't care what he does. Brian Wood, much like Sam Keith and a very small list of other writers and creators, I'm going to follow no matter what he does. Yes, a whole bunch of Avengers vs. X-Men stuff came out recently, and I'll get to that eventually. But until then, my boy Super Gen X is reading all of them, so you don't have to, including probably X-Men on Uncanny, both books that suck. So instead of reading them, head over to the Outhouses and look up Super Reads, Avengers vs. X-Men. Until then, when I get off my ass again and do this, have a good one. This ran really long, so if you sat around for all 15 minutes, Good for you. Facebook, Twitter, RUviews. I am Guillermo. Have a good one.